We will now perform the first exercise of the core board hurdle step progression, the standing hip stretch. Start with the feet side by side, centered on the core board, arms by the side. Flex the left hip and knee slightly greater than 90 degrees. With the right arm, pull the left knee and hip across the body. Keep the stance leg slightly flexed at the knee. Do not rotate the shoulders. Maintain a tall and upright position with the spine. Pull until you feel a stretch throughout the posterior hip of the left leg. Now, take the left arm and pull the leg into horizontal abduction or outward. Keeping the hip flexed above 90 degrees, open the hip without rotating the body. Once again, maintain a tall and upright position with the spine. Keep the stance leg and knee slightly flexed, and do not rotate the shoulders. Now, as you've seen, this is a very hard and difficult exercise to sometimes perform on the core board. A common modification that is used frequently as a prerequisite to this standing hip stretch on the core board is a standing hip stretch on the floor. Good. Pulling across, adducting until you feel a slight stretch in the posterior part of the left leg, and then abducting, taking the leg outward while maintaining a forward hip position and tall, erect spine. This concludes the first exercise for the core board hurdle step progression. We will now begin the second exercise for the core board hurdle step progression. This will be known as the double leg stretch, which is a version of the inverted V position in our Reebok Flexible Strength program. We will begin in a push-up position, from which we will walk the feet forward to a position where the heels can still maintain contact with the floor. The feet should be slightly wider than shoulder width. Pressure should be maintained on the board to ensure a slight tilt, thus engaging the abdominals. A slight stretch should be felt throughout the posterior aspect of the legs, from the buttocks to the calf region, and by maintaining constant pressure into the core board, we are reinforcing pelvic rhythm through engaging of the abdominals. You should relax and then repeat the stretch. This concludes the second exercise of our core board hurdle step progression. We will now begin the third exercise of the core board hurdle step progression, known as the mountain climber. We will begin this exercise in the push-up position. Flex the right hip and knee without making contact to the floor. Keep the foot pulled forward as in dorsiflexion. Maintain a flat spine and a tilt with the board. This will engage the abdominals. Return to the push-up position, however keep the right leg extended at the knee and hip and point the toes. Do not sway or extend the low back. Flex the knee as much as possible while maintaining maximal hip extension. Again, do not sway or extend the low back. Maintain a tall spine. Thus, this engages the abdominals while working the hamstring. Return to the push-up position and repeat on the opposite side. Dorsiflexion should be maintained throughout the hip flexion movement. Extend the hip, keeping the toes pointed, and flex the left knee. Maintain a tall spine, thus engaging the abdominals. This concludes the third exercise of the core board hurdle step progression.